Hello, everybody. We're going to get started here. My name is Lana Auerbach. I'm from the Hudson Valley in New York, and I'm really excited to be here sharing a project with you guys that I've been dreaming up of this past year. I'm so grateful to the Wynwood Music Festival for hosting this event, and to Ground Press as well. So here we have a string quartet. How many of you have seen a string quartet before? All right, so we have two violins right here. We have a viola right here. And we have a cello right here. Yeah? My name's Lana again. This is Amir. This is Nick. And this is Alex. Today we will be combining some fiddle tunes arranged by the Danish string quartet, who are primarily a classical string quartet, but they love the traditional music that comes from their homeland in Denmark, and so they arranged a book of fiddle tunes for string quartets to play. And this is really a nice bridge for classical musicians being able to explore traditional music, and they really did a wonderful job arranging these tunes. They're really beautiful. So I thought it would be a nice idea to combine these tunes with Fairytales by the Danish author Hans Christian Andersen. So today we will be reading through The Little Mermaid, The Ugly Duckling, and the last one is Thumbelina. And we actually have a Little Mermaid here to narrate for you. This is Rosa, who is our resident pianist at Wynwood, but these arrangements don't require piano. So we're going to have her use her vocal cords instead. All right, so the structure of this will be, we will play through the entire tune before you hear the story. And if you would like, while listening to the tune, you can draw and imagine what you're about to hear. So the first story will be The Little Mermaid. So as you listen to this first tune, if you'd like to draw things from the sea, any animals you can think of, mermaids, crabs, fish, anything like that, that would be great if you wanted to. If not, you just want to listen, that's totally fine. Once we're done playing the tune, Rosa will start reading, and throughout the story we will be playing excerpts from the tune you just heard. And each story will be like that. So we'll play the tune and then read the story through. I hope you enjoy it.
Kate, had many daughters who loved the undersea world. But Triton's youngest daughter, Ariel, dreamed of the world above the water's surface, the world of humans. Ariel and her friend Flounder liked to go to the surface to visit Scuttle the seagull. Scuttle told them all about the human's objects that Ariel found at the bottom of the sea. One day, Triton learned about Ariel's trips to the surface. The Sea King grew very angry. He asked his friend Sebastian the Crab to keep an eye on Ariel. A few days later, Ariel noticed a ship sailing way up on the surface of the water. She quickly swam toward it. "Ariel, Ariel, please come back," cried Sebastian, as he and Flounder swam after her. "I've got to save him," thought Ariel. She grabbed the drowning prince and swam to shore, pulling him onto the beach. Prince Eric did not stir as Ariel gently touched his face and sang him a love song. Soon, Ariel heard the prince's crew searching for him. She did not want to be seen by the humans, so she kissed the prince and dove back into the sea. Prince Eric awoke to find Sir Grimsby, his loyal steward, at his side. Sir Grimsby was happy that Eric was alive. "A girl rescued me," said the prince. "She was singing. She had the most beautiful voice." Prince Eric, too, had fallen in love. King Triton was furious when he discovered that Ariel had fallen in love with a human. He rushed to the grotto where Ariel kept her selection of human treasures. "Contact between the human world and the mer world is strictly forbidden," Triton shouted. He raised his magic trident and fired bolts of energy around the cave, destroying the treasures. Then the mighty Sea King left. Ariel buried her face in her hands and began to cry. Meanwhile, not far away, evil forces were at work in the undersea kingdom. Ursula, the sea witch, who had tried once before to overthrow Triton, she was looking for a way to take over. Through her crystal ball, she could see Ariel crying, and an idea came to her. Ursula sent her slimy eel servants, Flotsam and Jetsam, to Ariel's grotto. There, they convinced the little mermaid that Ursula could help get her beloved prince. Ariel was so upset that she ignored Sebastian's warnings and swam off with Flotsam and Jetsam to meet with the sea witch. "My dear," said the witch, "here's the deal. I'll make a potion that will turn you into a human for 3 days. Before the sun sets on the 3rd day, you've got to get dear old Princey to kiss you. If he kisses you, you'll remain human permanently. But if he doesn't, you turn back into a mermaid and you belong to me." In return for the potion, the witch wanted Ariel's voice. "My voice?" asked Ariel. "Without my voice, how can I—" "You'll still have your looks, your pretty face," replied Ursula. After Ariel agreed to Ursula's deal, an amazing change took place. Ariel's voice flew from her body and was captured in a seashell around Ursula's neck. Ariel lost her tail, grew legs, and became a human. When Ariel went in search of the prince, she was held to shore by her friends. She tried to speak to them, but no sound came out. A short while later, Ariel saw Prince Eric. The prince had been lovesick ever since hearing her sing. At first, the prince thought Ariel was the girl who had rescued him. But when he learned she couldn't speak, he knew he was wrong. Prince Eric felt sorry for Ariel. She needed a place to stay, so he took her back to his palace. Over the next 2 days, Prince Eric grew to like Ariel more and more. During a romantic boat ride, Eric was about to kiss Ariel when Blossom and Jessamine overturned the boat. "That was a close one, too close," said Ursula, who was watching in her crystal ball. It's time Ursula took matters into her own tentacles. The sea witch mixed magic potion and changed herself into a beautiful young maiden. On the morning of the third day, there was great excitement throughout the kingdom. Prince Eric was going to marry a young maiden he had just met. Ursula, disguised as a native, had used Ariel's voice to trick Eric. He now believed that the maiden was the girl who had saved him from the shipwreck. Poor Ariel was heartbroken. The wedding ceremony was to take place on Prince Eric's new boat. Scuttle flew by just as the bride passed in front of a mirror. Her reflection was that of the sea witch. Scuttle rushed off to tell Ariel and the rest of his friends. Sebastian quickly formed a plan. Flounder, help Ariel get out to Eric's ship. Scuttle arranged for some of his seagull friends to delay the wedding, and Sebastian hurried to find King Triton. Prince Eric and the maiden were about to be married when a flock of seagulls, led by Scuttle, swooped down on the bride. She screamed in the sea witch's voice. Scuttle knocked the seashell containing Ariel's voice from around the maiden's neck. The shell shattered, and Ariel's voice returned to her. "It was you all the time," said Prince Eric. "Oh, Eric, I wanted to tell you," said Ariel. The sun disappeared over the horizon just as they were about to kiss. Ariel's 3 days were up. She changed back into a mermaid. Ursula grabbed Ariel, and they dove off the ship. Thanks to Sebastian's warning, Triton was waiting for them at Ursula's lair. "I might be willing to make an exchange for someone better," cried Ursula. Triton agreed, and he became Ursula's prisoner. She now had his magic trident and control of the undersea kingdom. All of a sudden, a harpoon struck Ursula in the shoulder. Prince Eric had come to Ariel's rescue. Together they swam to the surface. Ursula followed close behind them, and she grew bigger and bigger with anger until she rose out of the water. Prince Eric swam to his ship and climbed on board. He grabbed the wheel and turned the ship toward Ursula. Just as the sea witch was about to fire a deadly bolt at Ariel from the trident, the prince's ship slammed into Ursula. The evil witch was destroyed. Now that the witch was gone, Triton was freed. He rose from the sea and saw Ariel watching Prince Eric, who was lying on the shore, unconscious. "She really does love him, doesn't she?" asked the Sea King.
Sebastian, who was nearby, he nodded. I'm going to miss her, cried Madden. Then he raised his trident and shot a magic bolt at Ariel's tail. The little mermaid's tail disappeared, and once again she had legs. Ariel was now a human. Prince Eric awoke in time to see his beloved Ariel running onto the shore. He kissed her, and they were married that day. After the wedding, Prince Eric and Ariel sailed off on their honeymoon, and they lived happily ever after. Okay, awesome. The next tune we'll be playing is called Rivers number 8, and we'll be pairing that tune with The Ugly Duckling. So, for those of you who weren't here earlier, we're first going to play through the tune in its entirety before we start reading the story. I would love to see some pictures of ducks and swans and farm animals, or draw whatever you want. But if you'd like to think about those things, maybe is there more paper available? All right, that's coming soon. So as you listen to this tune, draw whatever inspires you and what comes to mind, and please enjoy Rivers number 8.
The Ugly Duckling. On a farm long ago, a mama duck sat on her nest. "How long must I wait for my babies to hatch?" she said. "I have to sit here all alone, and no one comes to visit me." But what could she do? A mama duck must keep her eggs warm until they hatch. At last, the eggs began to crack. One by one, yellow ducklings stepped out of their shells. They shook their wings and said, "Quack, quack." "Look at all of you," said Mama Duck with joy. "You are all so cute." "Quack, quack," they said. Mama Duck said, "Come and line up. We will go down to the lake for your very first swim." She counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. "Oh dear," she said. "I should have 6 ducklings." But one large egg was still in the nest. "Well," said Mama Duck, "it looks like that big egg will take more time." So she had to go to sit on her nest again and wait some more. The next day, the big egg started to hatch. Out came a baby boy bird. But if one may say so, it was an odd-looking thing. This bird was much bigger than the others. He was not yellow at all. He was dark gray from his head to his feet. And he walked with a funny wobble. One of the yellow ducklings pointed, "What is that?" "He cannot be one of us." "I have never seen such an ugly duckling," said another. "How can you say such a thing?" said Mama Duck in a stern voice. "You are only 1 day old. Your brother hatched from the very same nest as you did. Now line up. We will go to the lake for your very first swim." Yet the other ducklings quacked. "Ugly, ugly, ugly." The ugly duckling did not know why the other ducklings were yelling at him. He took the last spot in the line. Each yellow duck jumped in the river and swam behind Mama Duck. When it was his turn, the ugly duckling jumped in and started to paddle too. "At least he can swim," Mama Duck said to herself. When they left the water and started to play, the ugly duckling tried to play with his brothers and sisters too. They yelled, "Go away, we will not play with you. You are ugly and you walk weird too." When Mama Duck was close by, she would not let them talk in that way. "Be nice," she would scold. But she was not always close by. One day, one of the yellow ducklings said to the ugly duckling, "You know what? You would do us a big favor if you just went away from here." All of them started to quack, "Get out, get out, get out." "Why won't they let me stay here?" said the ugly duckling to himself. He hung his head down low. They are right. I should go." That night, the ugly duckling flew over the farmyard fence. He flew until he landed on the other side of the lake. There he met 2 grown-up ducks. "Can I please stay here for a while?" said the ugly duckling. "I have nowhere else to be." "What do we care?" said one of the ducks. "Just don't get in our way." "What? What?" Suddenly, a big, hungry dog came carrying by, chasing the 2 ducks. They quickly flew up in the air, and their feathers fell down on the ground. The poor ugly duckling froze in fear. The dog sniffed and sniffed at the ugly duckling, then turned away. "I am too ugly even for the big, hungry dog to want," said the ugly duckling. With his head hung low, the sky turned dark. Crack! A bolt of lightning. Then came a big storm with heavy rains pouring down from the sky. In just moments, the ugly duckling was soaked through and through. Then a cold wind started to blow. "Brr," he said with both wings held close to his chest.
If only there was a place I could get dry. All at once, a tiny light was far off in the woods. Could it be someone's help? He flew to the door. "What?" said the ugly duckling. The door of the hut creaked open. "What is all this noise?" said an old woman, looking right and left. Her eyes were not that good. Then she looked down. "Ah, look at that! It's a duck!" She picked up the ugly duckling and dropped him inside her hut. "You can stay here, but only if you lay eggs," she said. The tomcat and hen crept up to the ugly duckling. "Who do you think you are, coming in here and taking up room by the fire?" said the tomcat. "Squawk!" said the hen. "I do not need anyone else in this hut laying eggs." "Do not worry about that," said the ugly duckling. "I am a boy duck." "Then why are you still here?" said the tomcat. "Did you not hear what the old woman said?" "Get out of here, pretender!" bluffed the hen. Get out!" hissed the tomcat. The door was still a bit open, so our poor ugly duckling slipped out the door and back into the storm. "No one ever wants me," said the ugly duckling, with a tear in his eye. The storm ended. Soon he found a new lake. Looking into the water, the ugly duckling saw the reflection of a large white flock of birds flying. He looked overhead and he could not believe what he saw. There above him were the most beautiful birds he had ever seen. Their long white bodies and slender necks seemed to just fly through the sky. He watched until the very last bird had winged its way out of view. He stayed at that lake all by himself, and time passed. The leaves of the trees turned deep red and gold, and then the leaves fell to the ground. Winter came, sitting a blanket of white snow all over. The cold wind and dark clouds made the ugly duckling feel even more sad. He had to go into the cold, cold lake to fish, but it was getting harder to swim. The lake was turning to ice. One day, all he could do was to paddle the water to keep it from freezing around him and trapping him in the lake. "I am so tired," he said, paddling with all his might. The ice got thicker and drew closer to him. In a moment, two giant hands swept him up. "You poor thing," said a farmer. He held the ugly duckling close to his thick wool jacket and took the bird to his home. Never was a warm fireplace no more welcome. For the rest of the winter, the farmer cared for the ugly duckling. Then spring came. Tips of green covered the trees. Short, bright flowers popped up from the ground. "It is time for you to go to the lake to swim again, as you were born to do," said the farmer. He took the duckling back to the lake where he had found him and set him with care on the water. "Gosh, I feel strong," said the young bird, flapping his wings. "Why, I never felt as strong as I do right now." He heard quiet splashing sounds behind him and turned around. A flock of those same beautiful birds he had seen in the sky before landed behind him on the water. "Do not worry," he said to them, holding out one wing. "I will go now. I will not make trouble for you." A big fat tear rolled down his cheek. He turned to go away. When he opened his eyes, he saw a reflection in the water of one of those beautiful white birds. Why was it so close to him? He jumped back, and the reflection jumped back too. "What is this?" he said. He stretched his neck, and the reflection of the beautiful bird stretched his neck too. "Why are you going so soon?" said one of the big, beautiful birds. "Stay here with us," said another. "We'll be great friends." Then, the bird who used to be the ugly duckling knew what had happened. He was no longer an ugly gray bird that wobbled when it walked. At one moment, all the swans flapped their wings and took off into the sky. "Come with us," one called back. "Take the lead." So he flapped his wings fast and took his place in front of the whole flock. All his new friends flapped their wings behind him. Hey, he said, gliding and dipping through the skies he sped on. Who's an ugly duckling now? Surely not I.
Okay, the last tune and story we'll be playing. The tune is called 5 Sheep, 4 Goats. So this we paired with Thumbelina. In the story of Thumbelina, you will hear about flowers and fairies and moles and other woodland creatures like mice and frogs and fish. So I would love to see some woodland creatures, some fairies, some flowers. Or you can draw 5 sheep and 4 goats as you listen to this really beautiful tune.
I want a child, says the woman. Please help me. Here, says the old woman. Plant the seed and wait. The woman plants the seed. She waits. At last a flower grows, a beautiful flower. The flower opens in the sun, and there's a little girl inside. The woman is very happy. She calls the girl Thumbelina. The woman makes a bed for her Thumbelina. She makes a blanket. Thumbelina is very happy. She plays and sings all day. But one night, a toad comes. Says the toad, my son wants a wife. You can be his wife. She carries Thumbelina away. Where am I? Cries Thumbelina. This is a river, says the toad, and here is my son. You can be his wife. Thumbelina begins to cry. What's the matter? Asks the fish. Oh, please help me, she cries. I don't want to marry a toad. The fish helps Thumbelina, and she floats away. She floats down the river, and now a butterfly helps her. What a beautiful day, says Thumbelina. But then a black maybug sees her. You can be my wife, he says. He carries her up to a tree. Look, he shouts. She can be my wife. But the other maybugs laugh at him. Ugh, she's pink, they say. She only has 2 legs. Ugh, says the maybug. I don't want you now. And he flies away. It's summer. Thumbelina makes a green grass bed. She makes a green grass blanket. The birds are her friends. The winter comes, and all the birds fly away. It is cold, and Thumbelina is hungry. Come in, girl, says a mouse. This is my house. You can live here and work for me. One day, a mole visits them. He's very rich, says the mouse. He needs a wife. Think about it, Thumbelina. Look, this is my house, says the mole. But it is dark under the ground, and Thumbelina doesn't like it. There's a bird under the ground. Dead bird. It's cold. That's so sad, says Thumbelina. But the mole says, I don't like birds. That night, Thumbelina can't sleep. She thinks about that bird. Then she gets out of bed. She makes a green grass blanket for the bird. Here's a blanket, says Thumbelina. She puts the blanket over it. Then she hears something. A quiet thump, thump. The bird is not dead. It's alive. And now it opens his eyes. Thank you, it says. I'm warmer now. All winter, Thumbelina works for the mouse. The mole visits them every day. Sometimes Thumbelina sings for them. And every day, Thumbelina visits the bird. Here's food and water, she says. Thank you, my friend, says the bird. I am warmer now. Spring comes. The bird is better now. It's time to go, it says. Come with me. I can't, says Thumbelina. The mouse needs me. Goodbye, my friend, says the bird. Goodbye. And he flies up into the big blue sky. Thumbelina wants to go outside, but there is always more work. The mole wants to marry you, says the mouse. You need some new clothes. That evening, Thumbelina looks out. I don't want to marry the mole, he thinks. Your clothes are ready, says the mouse. The mole wants to marry you tomorrow. Go outside, say goodbye to the world. Goodbye, bright sun, says Thumbelina. Suddenly she hears something. It's the bird. It's her friend, the bird. I am flying away today, says the bird. Come with me, quick, sit on my back. Leave the mole behind, leave him in the dark rooms. Come, friend, sit on my back, says the bird. Yes, cries Thumbelina, and she gets onto the bird's back and up they fly into the blue sky. Oh, the world is so beautiful, cries Thumbelina. Look at all the colors. They fly to another country. The sun is shining. There are flowers and butterflies. There are oranges on the trees. This is my home here, says the bird. Look, Thumbelina, your home is in a flower. There is a little prince in a flower. Be my love, he says to Thumbelina. Yes, says Thumbelina, and you be my love. Thumbelina, says the bird, your darkest days are over. Be happy.